Hey there, everybody. How's it going? Welcome back to another awesome episode of On the Throttle with Jacqui Van Ham and my buddy Josh. And today is an extra special episode, if I do say so myself, because it is
Of
the
course.
holiday season, right, Josh? Santa
Yeah.
is on the way, and today we're going to be talking about some great gift ideas for the motorcycle or power sports lover in your life. Or heck, treat yourself. Buy yourself something nice. We've got great gift ideas coming your way. I also have an interview while we are talking parts and accessories with Sarah and Shane from SW-Motech. We're going to be throwing that into today's show as well, so make sure you stick around.
Nice.
Josh, what do you got going on?
I'm sticking with the theme, even though I've been accused of being somewhat grinchy. I feel like okay, there's gifts that I will give and that I would also like to receive. So I'm going to be talking about some of those, and of course, they're going to have my own little twist to them.
Of course, I expect nothing less from you,
Correct.
Josh. Just FYI, spoiler alert, you're getting a lump of coal. You're going to want to stick
Yeah.
around to catch that lump of coal and all the rest of today's great show after this word from our sponsor.
There are still billions of dollars available for businesses through the Employee Retention Credit Federal Tax Credit Program. Stenson Tamaddon has helped companies with less than 500 employees retrieve over $3.4 billion in tax credits through employee retention credits. Call Stenson Tamaddon today at 866-934-8461 today to start your application. That's 866-934-8461 to apply. Call now.
Sleigh bells ring. Are you listening?
Wow. We're going there already.
So this magical time of year, everybody is on the hunt for the perfect gift idea. For my
Of
stories
course.
for today, I did a little bit of a riff on another couple of series that we do here at Motorcycle Power Sports News and our friends over at Babcock's Media. We do a show called From Mild to Wild, and I did my own riff on that. So for the first part, my first story for today, I've got a little bit of like stocking stuffers and a little bit more reasonable stuff. And then I'm not going to lie, after we do our interview with Sarah and Shane from SW-Motech, it's going to get wild in here. So you're going to want to stick around because the sky's the limit for the second half of today's show for
Nice.
my part of the program. So let's go ahead and jump on in here for the very first half of my wish list and gift list for the motorcycle and power sports fan in your life. The very first slide on your screen, the very first gift item. How timely and completely necessary is this, Josh, right? Flat tires, fixing tires, checking tire
Yep.
pressure is at the top of the to-do list in the winter season because tires are always going to be leaking some air out and losing some pressure in these winter months. And you've got to check them. You got to be careful out there. So the very first thing on the list is the Pro Fill Air Chuck from the folks at Motion Pro. You can see the really nice angle on the head of this. It helps you get in there. If you've ever had to check motorcycle tire pressures before, oh, what a pain it is to get down there and do yoga next to your bike trying to find that valve stem. This makes that job a million times easier. This is the folks over at Motion Pro. You can find it over at motionpro.com. Next slide, Miss Ashley. My next gift idea for the first half of today's program, a great gift idea, if I do say so myself, this is going to be the Stop and Go Pocket Tire Plugger. This is an all-in-one kit, as you can see by the slide on the screen. This has a tire plug. This has CO2 cartridges to fill up your tire, not for forever and ever, but at least to get you back on the road, to get to a place where you can get that tire properly repaired or filled up. I thought this was super, super clever. This is going to be from the folks at Stop and Go. This is stopandgo.com. The price tag for this guy is right around like $50. So this makes a really nice bit of like a stocking stuffer idea as well. Next slide, Miss Ashley, please. This next slide isn't necessarily motorcycle related, but I travel all of the time. And I've got to tell you, a set of folding knife and fork, or knife or fork and spoon, I should say, because I do take these on airplanes with me. These are total lifesavers. These I get carry out. I get back to my hotel room if I'm traveling. You know, there's no silverware in there. I'm going to have to eat with my hands. Not anymore, because I travel with folding silverware. These are just something that I normally would never have thought of until I bought them, and they're my number one top of my list travel item, travel hack. These were, I think, like 10 or 15 bucks. I found them on Amazon. This is just super clever. These guys unfold all the way and then pull out and become full-size utensils. So I thought that was really smart. Again, I just found these guys over on Amazon. This is a perfect, if I do say so myself, travel stuffer for the person who loves to travel or motorcycle travelers in your life. And I think I've got one more for the very first part of the show for me, and this is the folks over at Cardo. This is their newer version of their Pack Talk. Look, last year I believe I featured the Pack Talk Bold on the show, but they just are a slam dunk. This is my hands down most favorite comm system on the market today. I have tried a million of them. They are not loud enough. You cannot hear them. These install super easy. They are crazy loud. They're powered by JBL speakers. This is my favorite comm system I have ever used. This is from the folks over at Cardo. This is a couple $100. So this is going to be getting into a little bit more of a spendy purchase, but in my opinion, it's totally worth it. And that is my first part of my list for today. Josh, what do you have going on for your list?
First off, I can tell you no one is going to get me the Pack Talk Edge because no one wants me in their helmet with them. That's the first thing. So yeah, right. No, I totally see this coming. But so for my first thing, I mean, all of us with motorcycles, it is wintertime. And the thing that I noticed that I am doing is I'm spending a fair bit of time out in the garage. And nothing at all says I love you to someone that you want to give the best gift to than rubber gloves. So for this, I would say giving someone some gloves, some rubber gloves, whether it be the mechanics gloves or the mechanics type gloves here, either one of them, always a great gift idea. The rubber gloves up at the top, I am always running out of because, hey, the phone rings, I need to do something else. Whatever, I'm peeling a set of gloves off, or I just tear through them because, you know, I'm ham-fisting everything. The other mechanics gloves here at the bottom, also a great gift idea because these are something that I have in the back, in the bag on my bike, because whether there's a breakdown, whether there's something happening on the road, whether I toss it into the mud and don't want to get my other gloves muddy, either one of these work amazing to have in a bag because that way you can do stuff, not get your regular riding gloves dirty, and not get your hands all dirty and get the inside of your riding gloves dirty. So a pair of gloves is always, always, always a big score for anyone with a motorcycle. Now, the other thing is I've got to razz Jacqui here a little bit because she did not think of me when it came to her second gift. Because there's us tube type tire guys that we need something a little different. So in my second slide here, there is a tool that is currently burning down the internet all over the place called the Baja No Pinch Tire Tools. There's a ton of places that you can get this. Up at the top, you can see it's got a number of adapters. In the bottom of this shot here, you can get a decent idea of how this works. It is basically, it pushes out. The bottom area is the gear-driven piece. The top lever actually has gears on the bottom of it. It pushes out in order to just slowly push the bead of the tire over the bead of the wheel. This is obviously to prevent from you pinching a tube, because there is nothing worse than being out on the road, putting that brand new tube in that tire and being all proud of yourself because you did this alongside of the road, and then you hear that telltale as soon as you go to take off. A lot of us have been there, so that at that point you're taking the front tube and trying to stick it in you know how this works. So nonetheless, this is a great idea. This is right around $180. Once again, it's super light. It's 1.8 pounds, breaks down super easy, super small. Definitely a tool I'm going to consider putting in my pack. This is something that, yeah, you should probably get for that guy that has tubes, that goes out and does dumb things like I do.
Or gal.
So those are my first two big gifts is the, like I said, nothing says I love you like a pair of rubber gloves, and put those gloves on when you're using this tire tool. So
you're not wrong.
Those for starters. No.
You're not wrong. Those are two great gifts. And you're right. I will never say no to boxes of gloves because I'm always out of them. I use them like crazy.
Correct.
So bravo for bringing that up. That is a
Thank you.
very, very
Thank you.
rational, very logical gift. I expect nothing less
Imagine
from
that.
you, my Grinchy friend. Now, while we were talking all things parts and accessories, we did do an interview. By we, I mean me, did an interview with Sarah and Shane from SW-Motech US last week. We chatted about what's going on in their neck of the woods and what's coming up next for them. It is part of a series of interviews we are hosting here at MPN called Power Players. And we have an edit, a little segment from that interview. I'm going to throw that into the show now. If you want to see the full length interview, you can click on over to any of our MPN channels, whether it's YouTube or Facebook. As always, you should be clicking, liking, following, sharing all of our channels anyway, right? Because you don't want to miss any of this awesome news. On the backside of this interview, which will be like 5 or 6 minutes, we are going to jump back into our holiday wish list here at the show at On the Throttle, and you're not going to want to miss it because it gets absolutely wild with my second half of today's list. So let's go ahead and see what Sarah and Shane from SW-Motech.us have got to say.
Hey there, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. This is Jacqui Van Ham here at Motorcycle and Powersports News with 2 more Power Players on the interview today. I'm talking with Sarah and Shane from SW-Motech USA. Sarah and Shane, welcome to the program.
Hello.
Hi.
Hey, thanks for tuning in. So I'm going to, a little bit of a disclaimer. Sarah and I are friends in real life. I stopped by and visited her at EICMA at the world's largest motorcycle trade show at her SW-Motech booth where they were showing off all sorts of awesome gear, and I knew I had to bring you on the show and chat about what's going on over at SW-Motech and SW-Motech USA. So thank you for joining us. First things first, what is new with SW-Motech? What's going on with you guys? What's new in your product lineup? What's going on?
So what's going on? I mean, we could even say what's new at SW-Motech is SW-Motech USA, because we're actually just entering our 3rd year as SW-Motech's subsidiary company in the U.S. So we import all the products into our warehouse here in Oregon. And so we're doing the business growing like crazy over the last couple of years, bringing in lots of new products. And so, we've got some exciting stuff to talk about now that we're getting our groove on here with the business in the U.S.
I also wanted to ask a little bit, because you are both power players and movers and shakers out here. What kind of trends are you seeing in motorcycling and power sports? What are you seeing out here?
Well, I think the obvious one that we're seeing in a lot of different brands and marketplaces is just the growth of adventure riding. So many people are, I think, looking for new experiences, and through the COVID thing, people got really into adventure and touring. And so we're really seeing that adventure continues to be a really strong category for us and for a lot of other brands in the marketplace. I think also what we're seeing is a growth of non-Harley cruisers as well. I mean, Harley's always strong, but we've added the bags that we offer for Harleys, we're starting to offer for additional bikes, just because we're seeing so much growth in those Japanese and other Indian and other cruisers as well. So I think the adventure and cruiser markets, but there's always sport bikes, and we're still ramping up sales with our sport bike stuff too. So sliders are sliding right out the door.
So another thing I wanted to bring up and chat with you about, speaking of trends, is that their big trend for adventure market, it seems like to me, is the hard aluminum boxes. But SW-Motech has an answer to that situation as well.
Yeah, so go ahead.
So we've had, we're on our 2nd iteration of the aluminum case at this point. We've moved from the Ion into the Adventure and the Trax Adventure. So, but it kind of comes back to the carrier, and that's what we really started on these. So we had the Evo line with the carrier, and when we released that, we had 3 to 4, generally 4 quick detach points on each of those. So if you wanted to go on a 10-day adventure, have all of your kit with you, come back, take off your entire rack system and go rip in the woods with your buddies, that was an option for you. And that's what we introduced. So we not only changed how people carry their gear, we changed how people had a relationship with their motorcycles. So when we came out with the aluminum boxes, we saw a lot of success with it. But since we had that background in the carriers themselves, we were able to put other things on it. So what we just released is our completely waterproof sys bag. So there's 3 sizes in this. This one is the large. So this goes anywhere from 27 to 40 liters. It's expandable. And this is going to quick detach right on that Pro carrier.
Yeah.
Now, the medium and the small generally are going to fit on our SLC carrier, but we did release an adapter for that as well. So we can put those carriers, those side cases on the Pro carrier as well.
So we're pretty excited about these new sys bags. They're waterproof, soft side cases, basically. If a lot of off-roaders want something that's soft to absorb a tip over or a branch hitting them or something like that. So we're offering these soft bags that are also waterproof. They just released in Germany, and we're expecting our shipment any day now. So we're going to be launching that in the next couple weeks, and it's going to be super exciting. We've had a lot of interest in it already. We were showing it at EICMA as well. A lot of interest there too. So yeah, and that with our quick release side carriers, as he said, those are also really popular. So when you're not carrying your big cases, you can just quarter turn, pop them right off, and then you've got your sleek looking bike without all the bracketry on it.
That's what I was just going to say, is I personally am a soft bag kind of gal, because I love the quick release idea of soft bags versus kind of semi-permanently mounted hard bags. That's just my own personal preference. I love being able to take the bags off, throw them in the hotel room. That's right, I said hotel room, not camp. And throw them in the hotel room, and then I've got my naked bike and can go ride with my naked bike. So I love a good soft bag, and waterproof is absolutely at the top of the list of priorities, because I'm also that gal that's also traveling with electronics and phones and all sorts of computers and all sorts of shenanigans. So that to me is absolutely near the top of the list. So that's a really cool product. I can't wait to see that. I love that we got a little bit of a sneak peek here on the show. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate it.
Awesome. It was so great to talk with Sarah and Shane. I am genuinely
Neat
a fan
stuff.
of their products. They make such great stuff. And again, that was just a little segment of a much larger interview, part of our Power Players series. SW-Motech.us is where you can find more of their products. And again, it's luggage, it's safety, it's ergonomics, and protection is what they provide. We just showed you some of their awesome luggage solutions. All right, so as promised, the second half of today's show is...
Hey there, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. This is Jacqui.
It was so nice we decided to do it twice. Thanks, Miss Ashley.
Go for the revisit.
So as promised, the second half of today's show is going to get a little wild, because I decided for the person who has everything, and maybe the sky's the limit, maybe there's no budget involved, or flat out like these are my fantasy gifts that I would love to receive, I decided to go ahead and make that gift list. So let's jump on in. My very first slide, not to confuse you, although I would love to have a Sportster and a great big huge beautiful travel van, that actually is not the item that I wanted to talk about. It is that brilliant ramp that my buddy Savannah is riding up into her Ford Transit van. I am one of those folks. I do not dig on loading motorcycles into vans and trucks on skinny little ramps. It is a little terrifying. I do not feel like I am alone in this. I love the idea of a nice big fat ramp to be able to ride up into. This brilliant ramp, next slide, is a swivel ramp. It's a swivel loading ramp from the company. It's called nationalfleetproducts.com. I've seen this thing live and in action. It's super, super awesome. So for those of you that are watching that are kind of these, live outside adventure nerds that have these big, brilliant Sprinter vans and Ford Transits that you're tricking out, you need to put this on your wish list. This guy swivels in and out, so you still have access to the rear cargo area of your van. And then when it swivels in and you load it all the way down, it holds up to, I think, 1,300 pounds was the rating limit. So this is for ATV, UTV, or motorcycle. And it makes life a whole lot easier when you're loading up your van. So that's my very first wild bucket list item. My second list, if you want to go, or my second item, if you want to throw that slide up, Miss Ashley, My friends over at Portugal Motorcycle Tours. I have been following these folks out here on the social media because I am just a fan of the idea of going and riding Portugal. This is a bucket list item for me. They can be found at portugalmotorcycletours.com. They have got full tilt, multi-day, multi-week. You go to vineyards, it's off-road, it's on-road. You can design your own tour. They have motorcycles, they have BMW and Harley-Davidsons available. So it's really whatever you want it to be. They will create a custom tour around you and up to, I think, 5 of your friends. How awesome is that? To go riding Portugal with a handful of your buddies, bucket list, fantasy holiday list stuff going on right there, but not to be outdone for my vintage motorcycle nerds. Next slide, Miss Ashley. This is another company that I am completely obsessed with. This is Spain Moto Experiences. Spain Moto Experiences, as you can see from the slide on the screen, those are vintage BMWs. This is a moto experience company based out of Spain. The name kind of gives it away. Their whole gig is renting vintage Beamers and going to some of the raddest, coolest events in Europe or touring Spain. Awesome. Peak bucket list for me. If you watch the show or know me personally, you know I am a vintage bike dork. I do have friends ask me all the time, is there such a thing as renting vintage bikes? If you want to travel Europe, there are places to rent motorcycles from, as I just mentioned, Portugal motorcycle tours, but I hardly hear of anybody doing it with vintage bikes, and these guys do it with vintage bikes, and I think this is so cool and excellent. I am a huge fan. Bucket list stuff for sure. All right, next slide going on here. I figured instead of, not while we're talking wild things, let's do a little good out here in the world. My friends over at Wheels Through Time Museum. They host every single year as a fundraiser for their beautiful museum. They host a bike giveaway. This year's bike for 2023 is this 1937 Harley-Davidson Knucklehead custom bobber. This bike, there's tickets sold all year round. You can go to wheelsthroughtime.com. The more you buy, the better the deal gets. I just for transparency, I did buy some tickets last year, and I did go a little bit deeper into it. So I ended up snagging myself a T-shirt and the tickets, and there was some stickers in there, just all sorts of cool stuff. I totally recommend it. This is such a great gift. Who would not love to get a book of tickets to potentially win this awesome 1937 Knucklehead bobber in their stocking stuffer? And this is everywhere from $10 a ticket all the way up to, you can drop hundreds and hundreds of dollars on tickets if you wish. So this is a mild and wild gift experience that is doing good, helping the folks over at the Wheels Through Time Museum down in Maggie Valley, North Carolina. Now, while we're talking about doing good, next slide, please. I have a couple of other not-for-profits that I am a huge fan of, and you can go ahead here. MotoGo Cleveland. This is a really great, really very, very cool program based out of Cleveland. They are in the northern Ohio area now. They are spread out around northern Ohio. This is motogocleveland.com. You can donate. You can donate in somebody's name. So you're giving them a gift. It's in their name. It's all good feelings. Their whole mission is bringing back shop class. This is a traveling hands-on workshop experience. This goes to schools all over northern Ohio. They also host things at their own warehouse facility downtown Cleveland. Everything from their whole gig really is teaching teenagers in particular, giving them the opportunity to do some hands-on skills, build confidence, and possibly get a little bit of exposure to skilled trades. How cool is that, right? They're bringing back shop class. This is motogocleveland.com. And I believe one of my last slides for today is an organization that I just spent a little bit of time with out on the West Coast. This is the Jesse Combs Foundation. The Jesse Combs Foundation, they have a website. They've got tons of awesome swag for sale. Shirts, hats, bandanas, all of the money that they raise goes to help pay for women's education that are in the skilled trades. So they have women every single year apply for scholarships, whether they're going to programs like WyoTech or something more local to them. It is all about supporting women in skilled trades. They have put personally through the Jesse Combs Foundation over 20 women through higher education, continued education in skilled trades since they started a handful of years ago. It's a great great foundation. I love celebrating Jessie Combs and her legacy, and what better way to do it than by helping spread the love of skilled trades to more women out here and putting women in these positions. How cool is that, right? That is my mild to wild show for today. That is going to be it for my list. Josh, what do you have going on for the second part of today's show?
So I play a little bit off of your list, and first off, I love the charity donations. That to me is the best gift you can ever give to anyone, because it does so much good, especially with those two organizations. But first off, my first one, and if you want to pull the slide up here for me, Ashley, is there's some of us that don't use ramps because we ride everywhere. And because we ride everywhere, we need to do a boatload more maintenance to our bikes. So we need chain cleaner, we need chain wax, we need chain lube, we need air filter oils, we need an air filter cleaner kit. All this type of stuff is pretty darn universal. So if you're confused on what someone needs for their bike, if you're looking to shop for them this year, you're pretty safe with most of these, especially the chain stuff, of course, unless you're one of those people that has a belt or a shaft. At that point, hey, they can just use it as brake cleaner. So my next one that I'm going to look at here is there are some of us that like to ride out to where no one can get a hold of us. And it's ironic because no one typically wants to get a hold of me anyways. But
That's true.
I may need to get a hold of them. So having something like the Garmin InReach here is a great, great idea, especially if there's someone you'd like to keep track of, like myself, that goes out and does dumb things in remote areas. It will let you stay in contact even if there is no cell phone receptions. There are monthly satellite plans. You can turn it on for a month, turn it off for a month, whatever you need to do with that. It's pretty darn economical. This itself, if I remember correctly, runs for about $300. The plans are fairly inexpensive. Also, this itself can go up to 28 days in between recharges, and you can do two-way messaging with it. And the nice thing about it is, too, there is basically a cover on the side that you open. There's a button that you have to hold for 10 seconds, and it will send an SOS call and help will arrive. Really, really great system. There's a ton of people that use stuff like this. And once again, the beauty of it is it's satellite. So unless you're in a cave, it's going to work for you, even if you're out of cell phone range. Now, the other thing about that is let's say you need to use that SOS button for you or someone else. Heaven forbid you have to do that. My last thing is something that you should always, always, always have on any bike, no matter what. This one is from OneBeat. This is the MyMedic MotoMedic. This is a really, really tiny medical kit. It has a ton of the basics in it. It's got EMT shears. It's got a space blanket, those Mylar things that you look at and you're like, okay, look, I'm an astronaut now. It's got bandages. It's got a CPR shield. It's got hydration packets. It's got water purification tablets, ibuprofen, cold and flu tablets, all the typical stuff. And this ties in with my earlier one because it's got, you guessed it, rubber gloves in it too. But there's a number of other items, and including like some splints. I've been with friends who've broken fingers out on the trail. I have also been with people that have gotten a bad cut that needs not only bandaged, but they may need a tourniquet. This has all those basic items in there, so you can help triage someone until the Garmin InReach gets the help to you. So these it's a little less glamorous than yours, Jacqui, but mine are something that I feel like these are items someone may actually be willing to buy me, even though I'm the Grinch. I asked Ashley to turn me green for this episode. She said we couldn't do it right away, but so nonetheless, that is my Christmas list for this year. I think we're good with that.
Yeah, that is an excellent, excellent list, and we'll leave you with that today, friends. Thank you for tuning in. This holiday special where Josh brought the function and I brought the fantasy to some of these holiday gifts. Thanks for tuning in. If you've got any questions, as always, feel free to stick them in the comments. We always go back and reread and check in with you in case you want to know where to find any of this stuff. Go ahead, say hey in the comments and let us know, what's on your list, or if you want to know where to track down some of these items. Thank you so much for tuning in, everybody. We will see you next week. And don't forget, Power Players, those extended interviews will be out there on the internet as well. And we'll see you guys next week.